Fired Up Footballers. James and Jiggly coming at you. Thanks for everybody in the chat joining us. What is going on, Jiggly?
I woke up about an hour ago and I have my tea, and I just saw that you were about to stream, so I was gonna watch, and I have opinions, so.
Why not hop on the call? I'm thinking about getting everybody else on the call eventually, like having like a at post game stream, have people hop on like 5-10 minutes. It could be me and you, me and Menard or something, and we could be having a little fun with people. But we got some chats already, and then I'll get to what I want to get to. But first things first, Fired Up Footballers, James here. Please smash that like button. Please consider subscribing to Spitting Fire YT today. Also, hit that bell icon. It lets you know when we are live. We always do our show lives. That's just how we do it here. We do it live. We upload it and put it out on all the major podcast networks. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and whatever else there is out there. By the way, Section 8 Chicago, my food drive has been smashing it. Great job on Marty and Section 8 for pushing that. Just crossed the 48% mark. Take a look at that, Jiggle. That is crazy.
Yeah, the one good thing about the Fire every year recently has just been the fact that Section 8 has been able to do so well with the food drive.
That has been great. The support from the community has been great. We got FC Neo Tokyo checking in. Is this going to be a support group or a bitch session? I'm down either way. I don't know.
It's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's kind of the both, yeah. And then we got Slow Days checking in. FC Neo Tokyo also saying somehow this team is always 2 seasons away from being competitive for the last 10 years. That is so true.
I've been trying to get more into following the metrics of the teams, and I've noticed a lot of stuff where, like, how they say, yeah, all of our metrics look good, and technically they're right, but the results have never shown up.
It's all that XG stuff. But, you know, the thing about a lot of these statistical stuff is, like, those statistics are statistics off of statistics. Like, oh, they're supposed to score. Well, the real statistics that are bearing out is that the Fire are amongst the last in the league in goals allowed and amongst the last in the league in goals scored. In fact, let's take a look at where the Fire are right now.
Oh, I have that stuff pulled up right now.
13th place in the Eastern Conference with 4 goals for. They are the absolute least scoring team in the Eastern Conference, the worst. And then also 11 goals against. They're not the worst defensive team, but they are amongst the worst. So the worst offensive team paired with one of the worst defensive teams, and that's why you got stories like this one coming out, Djordge, from Patrick Craney. Georg Heitz wants you to know that while he respects Rafa Wiki, the two are not pals. Rafa is not a friend of mine, to make this very clear. Can you believe that?
He's basically going back against what a lot of us are saying, which is, like, if we get rid of one of them, we have to get rid of both of them. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to cover himself.
Right. Wiki's trying to prevent that, shovel some dirt on that fire, so to speak. Well, I'm going to read this. Go on.
Just with, like, the metrics of the different metrics. I mean, it's not just XG that they have good metrics on. Passes into the area, they're 6th in the league. You know, putting the ball into dangerous positions. The problem is that it never feels dangerous because of the way that the Fire play.
Correct. Well, and then look at the results. 4 goals for. I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we have a high XG. XG is like based around, like, essentially the percentage chance of scoring a goal, and we have so many good goal scoring opportunities, but it's something that, like, I started saying whenever as a positive way about the way that Sam Kerr played with the Red Stars, which is just the amount of fear that you instill into the opponent, how you feel about the team getting down there to score. And the Fire do not have that fear. I mean, the Red Stars don't have that fear at the moment either. But I mean, the Fire do not have that feeling of the intent to kill, you know?
And do you think that comes down to the coach or the roster or parts of the roster?
I think it comes down to momentum, and it doesn't seem like this team is able to build that momentum.
I could see what you're saying there, though. I mean, I should have let you finish, but I could see what you're saying with, they need to build some momentum. But, I mean, look at this team going to last year. I'm going to pull up 2020. And if we're talking about momentum, we're talking about an 11th place team with 5 wins, 10 losses, and 8 ties. They had 33 goals for. They were definitely amongst the not the best scoring teams. And then as far as goals allowed, they were amongst the worst defensive teams last year. So they were no offensive juggernaut at any point last year. There were only maybe 1 or 2 games where we saw it all come together. And then past those, 5 wins. There not many games came together, and that's why we have Wiki coming into the office of Heights. Like, listen to this. I gotta read this. They came into the office and they talked with Wiki. Wiki and Sebastian Pelzer had a meeting with Wiki after the last game. This is according to Hot Time, Middle Time, Patrick McCraney. So right after last game, after losing so much, Heights and Pelzer go in and say, hey, it's not looking good enough. That's definitely a big shot on the bow of Wiki, more so than Heights. I mean, seemingly that there might be letting Heights get another pick at the apple here, and he might be getting ready to get rid of Wiki. What do you think?
I don't know, the way that I've been talking to my dad about this. I talked to Adnan about it too, and like RJ at the game about.
Shout out to the Sad Boys podcast.
Sad Boys FC. And it just seems like there's not much that Wiki can do with these players, and there's a lot that's gone wrong because I don't think Heights is able to build a team in MLS. He seems like a very good GM, a very good technical director, sporting director, whatever you want to call it. He seems like he's very good at that job if it's anywhere other than here, because here, not only is it, do you have the whole thing of, the salary cap, the rosters, the like specific roster slots that you have to fill, international slots, you've got designated player slots that you have to fill with the right players, and he seems like he'd be great for building outside of MLS.
Wait,
but
so are you talking about? Because you're talking about the roster.
I'm talking about Heights.
Okay, so now I'm talking about Heights. So you're putting the onus right back.
I'm putting
it
on Heights because you can give Robert Beric the opportunity to try to score more than he has for like almost his entire career, but I mean
But why? Why are you taking that risk?
Beric hadn't scored more than 10 goals in a season since 2014, like his second ever season playing professional football,
Why did they go there instead of Alan Pulido?
And I think that it's mostly because of the way that Heights works, and he wants to play Moneyball. He wants to take players that others don't see very much in and build them up. And I think that that's fine, but just not here. I think that it's very much about making sure to land on your designated players. And Robert Beric, I would be okay with him being a DTAM player, Like, yes, he can be highly paid, but I don't want him to be a designated player. But he's our designated player, and so is Gaston Gimenez. Gimenez he was actively a liability in the first half in that last game.
He's been actively a liability most games that he's played.
So it's about making sure you land on your designated players. Nacho, when he's been healthy this season, he's looked pretty good, but he hasn't been healthy a lot of time. And last season he was almost completely invisible. Right. So it's a lot about I think that it's on Heights for not landing on designated players. The Fire have a strong history of failing at getting good designated players, but it's just this wasn't. I would put this on Heights, and what I said with like talking to like my dad and the rest of the Sad Boys is that you can't really expect that much else from Vicky. Vicky has the players and he puts them out on the pitch. There's some specific tactical things that I think he can do. I mentioned it in the in the chat before this all started with like, I want to see the Fire start playing like a hockey team, like dump the puck, flood the zone, play hard on the forecheck, just because that's the way that they can do it. But
dump the
if we're
puck.
doing
That sounds like Pano Ball, Jiggly.
Well, the thing is that if the Fire can't defend, if the Fire can't play with the ball in the back, then make sure the ball is nowhere near the back line. So it's not about like, it's not about kick and run to score goals. It's about kick and run to make sure that the ball is nowhere near our defense. So that way we have less of a chance of messing up in defense.
By the way, we've got 7 people at least watching, and quite a few of you have not smashed that like button. It greatly helps put the show out to the YouTube waves of Chicago Fire, and helps other Chicago Fire fans get a hold of Chicago Fire content on YouTube. So do us a favor, smash that like button, consider subscribing to Spitting Fire YT, and hit that bell icon to get notified of our live shows. We do every show live. That's just how we do it. And we always have a fun little chat going too. And we got FC Neo Tokyo checking in. In a league of so much parity and whatevering, it's actually hard to be this consistently bad. Like, you got to work at that. And yeah, I agree. I mean, but the Fire have been changing. They've been constantly changing and trying to find the right thing that works. And it looks like, once again, this isn't working. The next thing that they tried isn't working. And is it a matter of giving it time, or is it a matter of they just keep picking the wrong guys?
I think, because the thing with the Fire right now, I think I wrote a while ago about it with like the ship of Theseus, the classic thought experiment of the ship of Theseus, or the woodcutter's axe, where you can change so many parts to the point where you do not have any of the original parts left, but it's still exactly the same thing. And that's what the Fire are. You've changed the Fire so much. I don't think there's a single player who was here 2 years ago.
Yeah, Djordge. We'll talk about Djordge maybe in a second here. But wait, Mick Will checking in and saying a statistic that uses larger sample size and historical trends and base counting statistics does not make it less legitimate just because our favorite team isn't meeting the expectations of XG. Essentially, you can flip a coin 1,000 times and get heads 30 times in a row. But that streak shouldn't be overanalyzed compared to the larger sample size. And the larger sample size is 10 years of crap.
Well, I see what they're saying, and saying that like, well, XG shouldn't be discounted as a possible like marker for how well the team is doing. But I think that I'm taking the Fire's amazing XG. So what the Fire currently have XG, they have a 10.5 on XG and 4 goals. And the way that I've been taking XG since I've started trying to like use XG in my analysis more often is basically that the Fire are not performing up to expectations, especially not hitting those XG marks. The only 4 goals off of possible 10 XG, and then also for giving up goals. I mean, the Fire have one of the lowest XGAs in the Eastern Conference. They are supposed to have only allowed 8.5 goals. They've allowed 11 goals. So I don't think that, to me personally, it's not about discounting XG. It's about saying, technically speaking, this team should be better, and they're not better. So something needs to be changed so that they can actually be effective.
Another thing that's not better is there is 0 wins on the road. I'm looking at 11 games last year, all of them either losses or ties on the road. And then this year, already 3 losses on the road. Can we get a win on the road, Jiggly?
And we're going to be on the road at the end of the season too. If we end up pulling ourselves back, we're going to be on the road at the end of the season to try to get back too. The Fire haven't won a road game since a absolutely meaningless game in the 2019 at the end of the 2019 season. It was Bossie's last game, but like in the grand scheme of things, it was meaningless. It was the 5-2 win against Orlando on October 6th, 2019. Brutal. And the last time they won
2019. It's June 3rd, 2021.
I'm trying to see it. Like, when was the last time that they won a meaningful road game? Like one that wasn't at the end of the season. And I think I'd have to go back to 2018 for that.
Jeez. No,
I don't think. Wait. Oh, yes, I found one. The last meaningful road game was also in Orlando on May 26, 2018.
Pre-Nani days.
So yeah, it's very much a thing of That's the thing with the Fire, though. It's that it's a trend. I'm looking at this team here. There's only one player. No, wait. Okay, on this team, on the 2018 team, the last team that won a meaningful road game, there's Johan Kappelhoff. Let's see, Elliot Collier, and yeah, that's it. The only two players who are still on the team now.
At least they got Cap, but I mean, he's been only starting to come on, and he's part of a struggling team. I mean,
I think I've been seeing a lot of people saying that Kappelhoff just hasn't been good. Mm-hmm. And
there's a lot. Well, here's the other thing. A lot of these players just haven't been good, and that's the other
exactly.
issue. Speaking of the Fire schedules, though, and looking back, we could look forward. The next game is June 19th against Columbus. I believe that's the last game at the MAPFRE Stadium. What do you call it? The MAPFRE?
Just Crew Stadium.
What's the Crew Stadium. So that's the last game there. June 19th, 6:30 p.m. Not sure what it's on. Maybe it'll tell us. No, it does not. But and then we also have Chicago versus Cincinnati. That is June 23rd and 7 p.m. And then June 26th, 7 p.m. versus Philadelphia. So a string of three games right in a row there. But they're off for 2 weeks until then. And we also have Euros starting, I think, the 14th of June or something like that.
I just had a situation over here. Something wrong with my tea. I'm gonna have to go.
No worries.
Real quick.
I'll take care of stuff. I'm gonna start reading this article about Garrick Heights talking about Wiki. And then yes, June 11th is when UEFA Euros start with Turkey versus Italy, Wales, Switzerland, and Denmark, Finland. June 11th and June 12th. So that's awesome. So let's get into this article by Patrick McCraney. And by the way, thanks for everybody in the chat and watching live or after the fact. Greatly appreciate you guys watching the show and supporting the show. Smash that like button. It greatly helps transmit these Chicago Fire content out into the YouTube world. Slow Days checking in as well, saying XG has been traditionally used as a crutch by writers to say that they should be better and give hope in a single entity system. They are their record, and it is truly that simple. I agree with you, Slow Days, 100%. They are truly that simple. And wow, FC Neo Tokyo checking in saying Cap is done. Cap is done. Done as an MLS player, probably. As an MLS starter. Maybe he can be an MLS bit role player, but, yeah, it's not looking good for Kappelhoff. Or maybe, he just needs time to get back from injury. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case. By the way, greatly appreciate you guys all checking in today on this Thursday morning. So let's get back to this article. Patrick McCraney. Always, we have links in the details of our show, of the YouTube sources and everything. If you always want to check out these things, greatly appreciate if you do smash them, give them the support. Always give them retweets and likes. It always helps Chicago Fire media community, and it helps us all. Just to push this out and get other people, talking about the Fire. Anyway, with just one win and 4 points through the opening 7 games, Chicago Fire sporting director Garrick Heights' continuity will bring wins. Plan has not worked. The Fire's injury-plagued attack is still struggling miserably to score goals, and while there are still 27 games left, the club faces an uphill battle to reach its stated goal for the season, a spot in the MLS playoffs. There's 27 games left, but they already played 7, and they're not in a position to make the playoffs at all. Heights spoke at length with Hot Time Old Town last week. Much of our conversation covered the departure of Djordge Mihailovic of CF Montreal. I covered that in the last video, too, on ours. Check it out. It was a great little show. But Heights and Djordge Mihailovic throwing some mud on their stories, just clouding the dirt, clouding the water, basically. But also, I think they're leaving, and they're both going their separate ways, and, who cares? They're just like, whatever, move on. But there was some mud thrown in the water by both parties there. Anyway, so get to this first quote. Rafa is not a friend of mine. Right or wrong, among most Fire fans, that Heights and head coach Rafa Wiki are a package, there's a thought among most Fire fans that Heights and head coach Rafa Wiki are a package deal. Both men are from Switzerland, and previously worked at FC Basel. But Heitz was quick to say, while he respects Wiki professionally, the two are not pals. Very interesting that he's starting to distance himself this far in. I mean, he wasn't saying this a year ago, was he? Because this is very strange.
He wasn't saying anything against that.
Well, yeah, you're right, but he's very much starting to socially distance himself from, and physically, try to physically and mentally and media, commercially distance himself from Coach Wiki. Rafa is not a friend of mine, to make this very clear, Heitz said. I have not worked directly with Rafa in Switzerland. He was an academy coach when I was the sporting director of the first team. So I never worked directly with him. I still, and we could read between the lines there and say, now that I have, I'm not so sure. I still think that he's hard work. I still think that he is hardworking. But okay, he has very good ideas, very good communication, good language towards the players, but also towards the public.
I think that with
there's some stuff he's not saying there, it seems.
Earlier on with I was talking about Heitz, but like with Wiki too, there was a big thing that I think I heard about from like I was listening to a different Chicago soccer podcast. The fact that we have so many of them is very interesting, with how little this team, how little people care about this team, the amount of podcasts that this team has. But probably a lot
of similar hardcore listeners. And shout out to all those podcasts, friends of the show. We've had them on, and everybody.
The Chicago Soccer Conversation podcast. I remember one of the first episodes, Danny had actually found a quote from John Champion.
Danny Santaromita.
Danny Santaromita. He found a quote from John Champion about, like, why isn't the Fire like actively trying to do more? This is Chicago. And I feel like that's something that we need to take in. So it's not just with Heitz, like, not signing bigger players and that sort of thing, and whiffing on designated players, but also with Rafael Wiki. I mean, we keep getting academy coaches and it keeps not working out, We got Pauno, who won the U20 World Cup.
And Pauno was
a World Cup winner.
And think about this. Pauno kind of ended up being a package deal with Nelson Rodriguez in a way, because, I mean, Nelson Rodriguez was here for maybe a year or so of this, but we all knew he was leaving, and it was all clear writing on the wall. With he's gone.
Nelson Rodriguez is a completely different story, and like whatever.
Although he was here when Wiki was brought on. All the same, hold on. Slow Days checking in saying, I don't think anyone thinks they're a package deal, except that if Heitz is gone, so is Wiki. Yeah, if Heitz goes, so is Wiki. And if Wiki goes, maybe not Heitz. If Wiki goes, then Heitz may stay. Yeah, that's what Slow Days is saying. Also, FC Neo Tokyo saying, I'm sure that training staff are not boys with Wiki either. Oh, that the training staff are not good with him. Still doesn't mean they won't get fired with him, though.
There's the whole thing with like the other the assistant coach that left, the Australian guy.
Djordge. Let me finish this quote, though. So this is Heitz about Wiki. I really like Wiki's style. In the end, and this isn't only applicable for Rafa, but also for me, in the end, it's professional sports. And it's also about results. And that is a little concerning statement there for Rafa Wiki's future as a Chicago Fire head coach there. What do you think?
I mean, I would like to see. I would like to see, and it seems too early to be calling for heads. But at this point, this is the week to do it. If you do anything at any point, this is the week to do it. And I think that Mansueto is probably getting tired of this too already, because he put in all this money, and there's been no improvement. In fact, it's kind of gotten worse.
Do you think if Chris Armas gets fired from Toronto, because it doesn't seem to be working there, do we bring him up?
No. Chris Armas is not that good of a coach. I would like to have Armas and Novak like in the similar roles to like Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita. Like they can hang out at games and be there for the team, but like I don't think that they're that good at coach. I don't know if Chris Armas would want to come back anyway. There's a lot of stuff with like players not wanting to come back, and even if with the new stuff, I mean, I think Chris Armas is probably happier not coaching the Fire, because you're seeing how horrible it is to coach the Fire. And
some of our guests have brought this up in the past, that just the infrastructure is just lacking here, and that it's been so lacking that to build that up, they're coming from a deep, 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 dark pit. And it's going to take a while to get out of that pit. That pit might be 30 meters high, and they only might have 15 meters of ladder built right now, and they still need another 15 meters just to get out of the hole.
I think I'd like to see something similar to, like, I would like either I would like an established coach. I don't want another academy coach giving them a chance. The only academy coach that I would give a chance to is Gonzalo Segares. That's the only academy coach I'd give a chance to. But other than that, I want to have like an established coach. So, something similar to with New England Revolution bringing in Bruce Arena. They were a team that did not look like they were going to do anything, and then they bring in an established coach, and he's able to turn that team around.
You're right. FC Neo Tokyo was saying, wait, why? Why throw away season away when you can change? I think you got to throw away the coach, and you got to throw away the coach, like, soon. And you got to see if somebody else can come in here and get this going, because this engine is not running, and it's clear that Wiki, he's kicking the engine, he's looking at the engine, he's been staring at the engine, he's been pouring gas in the engine, he's been putting oil in the parts of the engine, he's been trying to tweak the engine, he's been adding parts, he's been taking parts off of the engine. But every time he every time he has a go of the engine to go cut the grass, he can't cut the grass. And if this guy can't cut the grass with all those parts, maybe it's time to get a different engineer in here, a different tinkerer, somebody who maybe can get this engine going, because this guy can't. And I think that it's time. It's time to pull the plug on Rafa Wiki. Because every time he pulls the cord on the Fire, it's you got to pull the cord. It's just a false start every time. He just can't get it going.
I think that I said at the beginning of the season that I was going to take this season as like a wash. It didn't really matter to me much. I didn't think they were going to get much out of the season. But at the same time, I said it this way on the podcast too. Do you know from like Out of the Park Baseball? There's a specific thing that like baseball. The owner gives a goal at the beginning of the season. And if you are so terrible in the season before, the goal that they give you for the next season is don't suck completely. And that was the goal that I had for the Fire this season.
Yeah, that was the goal. Don't suck completely.
You're right. Completely. It's fine if we suck a little bit as a treat. Good point. But if they suck completely, then that's what we're doing. At that point, you need to get rid of people.
At that point, you need to get some different people flipping the pancake. You need to bring your kitchen, your restaurant is failing, and it's because of your chef. Maybe your general manager was bringing in shit ingredients. But you know what? Even a good chef can turn shit ingredients into something. And this Wiki guy is not a good chef. He's been given, I don't know if the ingredients he's getting is shit or good enough, but either way, he's a shit chef. He needs to go. He's not good enough for MLS to get it going. He's had enough time. It's time to bring somebody who could land on their feet. And we got people in the chat. We got Mikwell who just was saying, I was just more interested in defending XG rather than the front office. But we also had Slow Day saying, is Yalp available? Ha ha ha, but he's joking. FC Neo Tokyo saying, the Fire thinks people like Yalp are established. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, no.
I'm when I say established, I mean like out in Europe. I mean, when Mourinho was available,
let us know who
wouldn't get Mourinho.
Everybody in the chat and in the comments after the show, let us know who you think the Chicago Fire should bring in as a potential coach, as an established person. Maybe somebody who's already in the league, maybe somebody who's not, or maybe recently exited the league. Maybe somebody over in Europe who's just doting around. Maybe an assistant coach out there. Maybe somebody or a former player or somebody like that. Let us know what you guys think.
Sam is available.
Big Sam Allardyce. Yeah, but that's a question. As long as he's not selling our players to like third, he's got shady businesses. I thought shady practices. Slow Days saying all we wanted to see this year was progress. This year so far has felt like regression, and that's the big problem. Wiki and Heights are seeing the same thing. Heights is seeing the same thing as we are. He's seeing not progress. He's seeing regression, and that's why Wiki's. I think Wiki's as good as gone, especially after those last comments. Let me finish this article here, Jigs. So after a recent home loss, Heights and technical director Sebastian Pelzer had a frank conversation with Wiki. He's doing a good job, but obviously we don't have enough points, Height said. That's also one part of the story. We analyze everything all the time. We saw a couple of things from our side, not only me, but also Sebastian, that we'd like to discuss, that we'd like to ask, hey, which is our job. That is clear. And despite the losses, Height still believes in the roster he built. I believe in the talent of these players. Absolutely, he said. We'll need a couple of players to come back from injury. That's also clear. Sure, yeah, whatever. Sounds like, look at the White Sox. They're doing fine without injury, with counter injuries. There's just, this comes down to general managing.
It's a lack of depth.
Yeah, it's a lack of depth, Mr. Heights. That's also clear. Sounds like an excuse, but it was significant. 7 players. I think we should be careful and not judge too early. This sounds like a guy who's trying to save his ass. I know, I'm not so sure that we should let Heights. If Joe Mansueto is listening to the show, you really got to really consider if you really want this guy leading your organization. I mean, first off, the coach he brings in, why did he bring in this coach if he was such a mystery? Why didn't he bring in somebody more that he's more sure of? Why didn't he have someone he was more sure of in his backlog to call on than this guy who he didn't know and he's already distancing himself and saying that he's not friends? Why did you bring in?
Know why.
I mean, certainly you got to bring in the business relations, but
I actually know why.
Why?
Because they had a specific scout. They hired a company to do this. They hired a company to find Heights. They hired a company to find Vicky. So that's why.
So, yeah, and then they were like, oh, by the way, this guy, he worked for you, Wiki. And they're like, yeah, he's like, But he didn't have anybody in his Rolodex, nobody in his text phone, nobody in his cell phone, no coaches that he could call on to come coach the Fire, or he didn't even think to go, I'm starting to really think that the Heights hire also stinks. The Wiki hire stinks, but that's also starting to really reflect on the Heights hire because, I mean, look at this. That's part and parcel to it. So Joe Mansueto has a lot to think about whether or not, and also the new president of the Chicago Fire has a lot to think about whether they're going to let Heights get another pick at the apple here. Because first off, it might not just be the chef in the kitchen who's making your restaurant stink. It might be the general manager that you brought in is also giving them shit ingredients, and maybe you bring in a better general manager, somebody else who's able to procure better ingredients, and then is also able to procure a better chef, or maybe a chef from a former Michelin star restaurant. Why not? Can we get one?
I mean, the guy that was coaching before at Basel, which would be around the time that Heights was GM and Vicky was still just an academy coach. The guy who was coaching then, he's the current manager of Union Berlin. Honestly, I don't see him as established the way that we were talking about it before, and I think that Union Berlin is a very good opportunity.
Listen to this bullshit. So that said, summer signings are possible, but not guaranteed. Could be. This is Heights. Could be. We have possibilities when you look at our roster, but we also have to be aware of the fact that we will have players back from injury. There might be 1 or 2 additions. There might be, Heights said, putting a heavy emphasis on the word might. I mean, sure, you maybe add a player or 2, but they're one of the highest spending teams. I think either the 7th highest paid spending team. They've spent a lot of their money. Yeah, they got some money back, funny money back from the Djordge deal. But, it's just funny money, and, this is a team where all 3 DP spots are filled with just guys from any MLS team. And every single one of the DPs on the Chicago Fire are Gam-Tam players on any other team.
I was talking with my dad on the way home, and we were saying, basically just trading our failure of a DP to somebody else for their failure of a DP.
Yeah,
so I was thinking,
that's all you can do.
Trading Barrich for there's a guy on Vancouver that I was kind of interested in.
And then let Chinonso Ofor take over, which I'm all for. I mean,
honestly,
he's
I would like.
Promising.
If we play if we play the hockey strategy that I want us to play, that means 04 is going to be the one on top. That means 04 and Collier would be up in the corners to dig the ball up, because we don't need Collier to be a skilled player. We just need him to be a big body.
We have
to get
a team that is hinged upon the success of one Elliot Collier.
Elliot Collier is amazing.
That's how this team was so built to succeed. This team was so built to succeed that it was resting upon some.
But the thing is,
on Elliot Collier, which shout out Chicago. He's done great with his career, but that's the type of guy that they're pinning their hopes on, and that they need to make and he's just a depth guy, and this is the type of team that Heights has created and melded together from the parts that he already had existing that he didn't have to. Like Calvo didn't have to resign. We brought this back. Me and my brother brought this up in our last podcast. We were listening to the Tenorio and Stexel's podcast, and they're saying, why did they resign Calvo for $900K? Nobody was going to offer that guy $500K. He's a guy in MLS. He's not tam worthy. He's a guy in MLS. He's not even a particularly good starter. He's been a starter on one of the worst defenses the last 2 seasons going. And in fact, guess what happens as soon as Minnesota gets good, ditches them? They get good. Take a look at Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's been sucking maybe this year, but Minnesota has made the playoffs more than the Fire. Minnesota has been in the semifinals the last 4 years. Inside the last 4 years. Where have the Fire been? And I'm talking about Minnesota FC, who was not a team until like 5 or 6 years ago. They were not an MLS team. This is what the Fire are dealing with. Chicago fans are dealing with. This is the ineptitude.
There's 2 things there. With Calvo, we probably re-signed him because he was already the captain. He shouldn't be captain in my opinion, but he already was the captain. I'm pretty sure that Heights was just like, well, we don't want to get rid of the captain right away.
Right.
We want to try to build something else. So, I mean, that's probably with that. But the other thing with Collier is that Collier has been the highest performing player on the entire team. And when that is true, that means very bad things.
That means very bad things. I mean, that means bad things of Wiki.
Everybody else is better than Collier.
Should be.
Collier works. He's one of the hardest working people on that team.
He took up
the fact that
Grant
he's not
Bronico's
being allowed.
hashtag grind set, right? He adopted
Well,
it.
I mean, I don't think it's grind set. I think it's mostly just like he understands the situation that he should not be here. So he's trying his best to make up for it. And so if Elliot Collier is the only guy who's taking guys on one-on-one, he's the only guy who's doing that. He's the only guy stupid enough to do that. So that's why he actually converts on that every once in a while, because he just has such a high volume of times that he takes guys on one-on-one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're spending way too much time talking about Elliot Collier, and that's the biggest issue about this damn team. Sode's checking in. I always thought
talking about Elliot Collier.
Sode's saying I always thought that that's funny. I always thought that Wiki was a hire of convenience. He was in Chicago, had his work permit and experience both with Heights and MLS. Short time frame, he had to move fast. Yeah, it is a hire of convenience, a hire of bullshit. They should get him out. Let's finish this article by Patrick McCraney. Great shout. By the way, please support our Chicago Fire riders. Heights believes the team struggling players like midfielder Gaston Jimenez will bounce back. Baloney. I think that, he needs it. He needs him to. I think one of the most important things, but he won't. I think one of the most important things is that you show the player that you always believe in him, because no player is always performing well, Heights said of Jimenez, one of the Fire's highest played players, and also an international. He's going out with Paraguay. But the thing about that is they might have the destroyer to cover from. They might have the team system that, supports him and allows him to thrive. Chicago Fire don't have that. And back to Garrick Heights saying, you should stick to your decision that you've signed a player, back him, try to speak with the player, and ask him whether everything is okay or something is wrong. But he can do better. He must do better. That's clear. But what if he doesn't do better, Mr. Heights?
I know that there was a recent thing of how Jimenez was dealing with an injury, I think, in the DC game, and that was their excuse for why that game didn't go well for him. And he's coming back from that injury and didn't play well in the first half of this last game. So, you could put that on the injury. But still, it's just, he's not what we ordered.
He's not what we thought we were. Maybe he's thought what Heights thought this team needed, but he's absolutely not fit for MLS consumption.
And I don't know. There's an issue with
Jiggly. Is there a team in MLS where this guy does work? Is there a team out there where this guy does work, where they're like, yeah, we definitely got to get this guy on the field. He's definitely not a hindrance. He's definitely not a liability. I think that there's most teams in MLS might have trouble putting this guy out there.
I think a team that already has a solid 6 defensive midfielder, a solid like windshield wiper.
So
like,
what is he supposed to be, an 8? If he's supposed to be a 6'2", part 2, like it doesn't make sense. Like what
as
what
a
is
deep
this
lying
guy?
playmaker.
He's
So in a 4-2-3-1.
Okay, yeah, okay,
He's
so
the deep lying
Pirlo.
playmaker.
He's a Pirlo,
and the other guy, and the other guy is the Gattuso.
Is
the
he
guy
is he even a
cleaning up.
particularly good deep lying playmaker? Maybe.
He made some great passes last season. That's the thing. I think what the joke that we had on the podcast, he passed good, you know?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
he when he's not when you don't feel like he's injured, usually he can do some decent passes. He had some horrible giveaways against Montreal, but
Yeah.
he's half decent in passing. And I mean, I could pull up his passing stats right now.
Here's the thing. Don't worry about it. Here's the thing about Pirlo. If you're gonna play a player like Pirlo, you need athleticism. You need athletic guys around him to make up for his lack of athleticism and his lack of physicality. And the Fire, I mean, they have that in Chinonso 04. They have that in Beric, these big guys, but also, I don't know if Wiki knows how to use it and doesn't know how to get. And also the other thing that this guy doesn't have, he doesn't have explosiveness or acceleration or really all that great dribble skills. I mean, like that Pirlo has. Pirlo still has some trickery and chicanery and some flair that, I don't know if this guy has less so. Maybe he has it, but he's not showing up at all for Chicago Fire. And he's the guy who they've spent the most money on. They needed him to show up the most. And that's particularly damning of both Beric and Rafa Wiki and Gaston Jimenez.
I think because Pineda plays the role better than Jimenez at the moment.
Yes,
and
Pineda plays the better. I agree.
At this point, I would like 04 starting over Beric, and I think that there's a
Agreed.
big thing with Vicky right now is that I think he's kind of getting a little bit of direction from heights.
His back's up against.
These are our guys.
Yeah,
these are our guys.
It's Moneyball.
We need to let them play.
It's Moneyball. It's like, hey, we're gonna trade this guy so you don't play him. See you, Djordge.
Well, no. Okay, I have a lot of opinions about Djordje. I think you might have heard it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Hold on, let me read this real quick. Got some real quick blurbs from Ruben Tish, Chicago Fire. Also, great follow on Twitter. He said we should be done with Calvo. What do you think?
Calvo hasn't been that bad recently. Like the past few games, Calvo hasn't been that bad. I think Calvo and Omsberg has honestly been our most solid defensive line, which is scary because Omsberg is not that good. I remember scouting him for the draft back when he was drafted by Minnesota United. I remember checking him out and thinking, he's decent. I don't think he's going to be as good as...
Where's this?
Turan is still injured.
Oh, he's still injured? Okay.
Well, I mean, he should be better now, but I think that Ricky is taking it slow.
Well, he's a kid, so you don't want
making sure that he doesn't get re-injured because, I mean, if you want to put your future on that guy, is...
Well, yeah, where's the solution for Calvo? I mean, that's the thing. If Taryn isn't ready, Kappelhoff is, struggling.
The solution for Calvo is starting him at striker.
Well, speaking of striker, Robert Beric is regressing, and it's time to bring in Chinonso 04, says Ruben. I agree.
Beric isn't regressing. This is who he is.
Yeah, that's 1,000%.
He overperformed last season. As I said, it was his first game. It was his first season over 10 goals.
Right, yeah.
It was his first season over 10 goals since 2014.
Absolutely, and then the league figured him out. Also, the Wiki's offense no longer is just like working. And one of the things I realized about Wiki's offense is it only works if Fabian Herbers is in. It only works if Fabian Herbers is in.
Which is very concerning, honestly.
Yep, that's the only time it works.
Fabian Herbers is a solid...
I think he's a good player. He's a very good mental
soccer player. He's a solid...
He's got great soccer smarts.
Depth piece. He's a guy you bring in off the bench.
I think that if a new coach comes in, I think they'll still look at Fabian Herbers like as somebody they could use. Because he's a glue that's fixing Wiki's, crappy... He's like the sous chef that's like, and every once in a while something comes up good there. Even though the kitchen sucks. And some good news. Ignacio Nacho Aliseda is back. Who cares? Sorry, Ruben, I'm not talking about you, but I'm just saying Nacho Aliseda is garbage. Bring on Brian Gutierrez.
Actually, I mean, I think Nacho's done well.
Okay.
And I think that
For
preseason
DP,
Nacho.
for DP money?
Well, I mean, we haven't really seen enough because he's been injured. Because last season he was completely invisible. But during preseason, I was seeing a whole lot more from him, and I think it's mostly because he's gotten a lot more comfortable here. I think that's the big reason why he didn't play well last season. And so I saw what he did in the preseason, and then suddenly he's out with an injury. So I don't know. I think that it could matter at some point. It could matter.
How many games do you think that Ignacio Alcides played for the Chicago Fire?
I think he played quite a bit last season. I can't remember how many games he played.
Just throw it. Just throw a number out there. How many games do you think he's played for the Chicago Fire?
I don't even remember how many games there were last season. Like around 20.
Yeah, he's at 22 games played for Chicago Fire total, and most of them have been crap.
Well, yeah, most of them, because most of those was last season, when he wasn't really completely ready yet.
Speaking of, we were talking about Djordge a few minutes ago. The Chicago. He posted this picture him after beating the Chicago Fire, and then also he liked something on Instagram or something like that. The Chicago posted that they lost. Djordje Mihailovic throwing some shade by liking it. Thought that was pretty funny and cheeky.
Oh, I got issues.
You got issues?
I mean, he didn't really do much in that game.
Did he? Yeah.
I see somebody, I've seen Neo Tokyo mention, like, Jiggly, man, good players need to be divas. That's part of what makes them good. He's not good, though. I still don't rate him. And I didn't rate him when he was with the Fire either. And people saying that, oh, why do we have to trade him? I mean, honestly, it's because he wasn't going to get a chance at the position that's going to make him good with players surrounding him that's going to make him better. He wasn't going to get that with the Fire. So why wouldn't he want to be traded, you know? Mm-hmm. And so him being petty about that, it confuses me. And I didn't read any of the drama stuff. Like that feels like VTubers, you know, yeah. that side of my life, and I don't want to deal with that. So it's just, I don't think that's he earned the right to be petty. I don't think he earned the right to be petty. Yeah,
chuck that bullocks. Speaking of being petty, maybe I was a little petty. Slow Day's calling me out, saying that Nacho isn't garbage, and we haven't seen enough to determine if he's improved this year. You know, too early to judge on a very limited minutes. Thanks for checking me. Sometimes, spit fire. But, he just has not impressed me. He has impressed me.
Oh yeah,
much.
He was last season he was invisible.
Right.
But during the preseason,
he's played 22 games for the Fire, and he's been invisible for. I can think of 3 games where he wasn't invisible. Terran has been on the 18 the past few games. All the same, so it is correct to say, maybe he's not garbage, and I probably shouldn't say that. Also, I don't think you can judge a 20-year-old from 2020. Got to give them time. Yeah, that's another thing. 2020 was definitely the craziest of times as we're trying to get back to normal here. So they're saying Djordje is good. You are wrong, Jiggly. The trade wasn't a bad deal for either party. I think Djordje's good, too. I think Djordje's the best player on the Fire.
I think he was very overrated by a lot of Fire fans.
He was the best player on the Fire. Point to one player on the Fire who's better than Djordje Mihailovic.
Elliot Collier.
Nope. Point to one player on the Chicago Fire who's better than Djordje Mihailovic.
Elliot Collier.
Point to one player, Jiggly.
Let me just open up the roster.
There's no player.
My brain
there is
immediately.
There is no player because you're like
Branico.
If you can't think of, he's not on the Fire.
Okay. I thought you meant on the Fire last season.
No,
a better player on the Fire last season.
Who on the Fire this season is better than Djordje Mihailovic?
Lucas Stojanovic, obviously.
No.
Lucas Stojanovic is way better than Djordje.
Debatable. Maybe. You may have an argument there. That might be the one player you might have an argument for.
Medran when he's actually on his game and when he's not doing whatever normal thing that he's doing.
Nope. Djordje is so much better than Medran. Medran came from Real Madrid. Djordje Mihailovic came from Chicago Fire, Lamont's backyard, and Djordje is miles better than freaking Medran, who played.
I know kids who I went to high school with who would kick his ass and
I believe
pickup
it.
games.
I believe it. You could kick his ass. But dude is skilled, and dude can make it work. He's way better than Medran. Let's see. Speaking of Medran, transfer market.
I don't want this to be another Jack Harrison situation
Right.
where like I have to disagree with everyone every single time his name's mentioned.
Alvaro Madron is worth $2.2 million according to transfer market, and let's go to Djordge.
I mean, I'm not going to trust transfer market.
I know it's but hey, it is used. It
well,
is
mostly
used
in terms of like not because I value players differently.
Djordge is worth double.
Oh yes, Pineda is better than
Madron.
Djordge as well.
Okay, maybe Pineda. Pineda might have a shout. Let's see what people said here in the chat. Pineda over Djordge, says McWill. The only argument is Luka for better, but he is more consistent. And so they're saying because he's tired, he's come back from injury. Luka was tired.
I mean,
so
also there's the thing of we weren't
back.
playing Djordge in his right position. We were playing him out on the wing. Montreal is finally playing him in the central position. Harry Shipp, I would rather have built a team around Harry Shipp than trying to build a team around Djordge.
So they're saying if those high school kids could kick their ass, then who do they play for, right? U.S. Scouting, where are you? They're bad at it. Djordge
just with because I also would rather have somebody who could be a leader. So in terms of the players that we have in terms of the two homegrown players playing in about the same exact position, being played out of position in about the same exact way, and being traded away by the new management almost instantly in the same way to Montreal, Shipp and Djordge. I would rather have kept Shipp than have kept Djordge. Because Shipp would have been a leader. The thing is that I understand what you're saying with like how good players need to be divas, but he wasn't good enough to have earned that right to be a diva. You know,
he's the best player on the Fire. He was the best player on the Fire.
And Harry Shipp was one of the best players on the Fire, and he wasn't that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So it's more of like he didn't.
Diva. It's true.
If you are flaunting the fact that you are the biggest fish in a tiny pond, you shouldn't be praised for that, you know?
Yeah, you shouldn't be praised for it, but you also I could care less. I want a guy who performs well, and to me, Djordge was the only guy who performs. He's the only guy who performed on this team, and Wiki is another part of that you just helping him not to perform and helping this team not to perform. You know, what do you think of that? He performed. Everybody else?
I think he got like with a lot of situations. There were a lot of games last season where people were saying, "Oh, Djordge was the best player out there," and I'm like, I don't see.
He was so many times
out of position, not getting the right passes and not making the right runs. That's what I saw from him.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of mistakes. Absolutely, I agree. You know, we are keeping an eye on him. Hey, but speaking of people who just have not though met the mark, but yet seemingly have outside opinions might differ on him. That's Frankowski. He got called up by Poland for the Euros.
It's a distant situation,
and
so
he might have enough talent that he is maybe one of their best options. He's just got such physicality, but or is Wiki just
different situation?
Is Wiki's system not working for Frankowski? Is Frankowski better than what he's been on the Chicago Fire?
So Frankowski is a weird type of player where if he is on a bad team, he's not going to perform well, and he's going to perform well on a good team because Frankowski, he's just a speed guy, and if you play him as just a speed guy, he's a guy you bring on at the end of the game to just move quickly and get the ball to whoever your star is. But the thing is that the Fire are relying on him to be the one to score, on him to be able to
score, him who he can't.
Exactly.
Also, we got. Go on.
So I think that he works really well for the Polish national team because he's going to be a guy who can help get the ball to Lewandowski, get the ball to Arkadiusz Milik.
And he's very versatile. He could play the wing backs. He could play a wing.
Well, I mean, I think they would rather play him at that wing midfield position.
I think they actually have him listed as a midfielder, and I think they've listed
obviously.
him like everywhere. He's been listed maybe as a forward, as an outside back, as a defender, as a midfielder. We also have another one. Some people checking you on Shipp. So they're saying, "Oh, Shipp wasn't great." He couldn't handle more than one person around him and was unathletic. Also FC Neo Tokyo saying Ship's top speed was a walk. And so they're saying Djordge over Ship. Ship was a better locker room guy, and I think you were saying that, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying over it. And also, wait, the next comment from Slow Days: Chicago is the third largest market, not a tiny pond.
Yeah,
I would like to say that you're wrong with the team. I mean, obviously, Chicago is the third largest market. We should be signing players like we're the third largest market. Mm-hmm. We're not. You look at the team; it hasn't been built properly. That's the thing with Heights, where it's just like, I don't want to deal with Heights trying to play Moneyball with this team. I want us to actually be going out and grabbing good players and actually spending money. Mansueto is willing to spend that money.
Yeah, and
we're just not doing that.
And to go to trusted, you have enough money to go to get trusted quality, and you went and got mystery box. So Mick Will saying being the best player, the quote-unquote best player on a bubble playoff team does not constitute this level of grandiose behavior. Probably, he's got a great point there.
Exactly.
Slow Day saying Djordge was the best player for the Fire, hands down. It does justify that attitude amongst the team and staff. Slow Day saying I'd be pissed off for being benched because I got called up to U.S. men's national team. Ricky pulled the exact same bullshit with Pineda this year. Forget that. FC Neo Tokyo, I think he did sit Pineda, but Pineda, maybe he needed a time. He's still young. Maybe he needed a day to,
Wait, he benched Djordge for getting called up to the national team? I don't remember that one.
Djordge, when he came back, he didn't get played. From when he came back from the U.S. men's national team, he never got played.
Yeah, because I didn't think he was that. I didn't think he was that good either.
But he is. He's way better. But we could be wrong. Maybe we're wrong. FC Neo Tokyo saying no matter how bad a player is for the Fire, finds a way for them to underperform.
Oh yes, and then the comments of Collier overperforms, but it's so bad.
Except for Collier, Slow saying except for Collier, he managed to overperform and yet still be bad.
Collier does his best every single game, and I love that.
FC Neo Tokyo saying it's like when a guy and a girl are dating and somehow they both can do better. Wow. Yeah. What do you think about this from Ruben? Hashtag Josie. Josie Altador to Chicago Fire. What do you? No. I don't see why we need him when we got all these. We got John Durant coming next year. We got Chinonso, who's flashing and looking good, and we also already have Baric. I mean, what, you want to trade Baric to him for Josie? I could do that.
Yeah.
No. Josie, dude.
I want to trade Baric for David Caicedo.
Trade Baric for Josie for this season of a captain. Get Josie to be the captain. Boom, done. Josie.
Well, I mean, if that happens, we'd have to trade Calvo because Calvo's not going to take that.
Trade him. Gone. Done. Eric Ronaldo saying back on this was yesterday. On this day, Eric Ronaldo and Demo Kovalenko each scored. Chicago Fire beat DC United at RFK Stadium 2-1, and Eric Ronaldo was reminding everybody with 10 men. And
I think that.
Oh, gone.
I don't know. I might want Wijnaldum coaching.
I would love
Wijnaldum that's one other random person. Like
he's available.
He's not completely established. He's not completely established, but I would take him coaching too. I want if the Fire aren't going to get established coaches, then I at least want former Fire players given the chance, because we've seen time and time again players who played under Bob Bradley have turned into great coaches.
I almost sent him a DM the other day, seeing if he wanted to come on the show, just because he tweeted this out. I almost sent him a DM. I was like, hey, he used to follow me. I don't know if he does anymore. Arlo White checking in. Not long now. Thank you. So Arlo White's going to be coming to Chicago Fire soon. I don't know if that's going to change things on the field. He's going to have to watch this product. He's probably like, oh, I'm so excited to watch Chicago Fire football. Jakes?
I'm trying to think of extra things here. But yeah, there's the one good player that Heights has found just out of nowhere has been Chinonso 04. And I want him to get more of a chance.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm just gonna stick with my exact thing of like, I want this team, if we're not going to add in any more players, I want this team to play like a hockey team. That means we're going to start 04 and Collier up top and tell Collier to stop trying to take players on.
Start banging.
And just use his body.
Start banging. Yeah. I agree. I'm on board with that, Jiggly. We got Slow Days checking in saying, okay, 7th largest salary in the league, and the best player is a low-paid homegrown player. Looks great, Heights. Slow Days saying Collier has absolutely no whatevering in him. Guys, why are we talking about Collier?
I like Elliot Collier.
Why are we? This is the state of Chicago Fire that we're wasting airtime on. I know he's a good guy.
I had to explain at the Inter Miami game to somebody sitting nearby why I loved Elliot Collier so much, because like he's so bad.
So they're saying we should sign Herrera for coach and Josie and get the most drama possible. Yeah, get the people in Chicago interested. If you go at Josie, and I definitely think people.
You got Calvo there too. You bring in Kendall Waston. You have a back three of Kendall Waston, Francisco Calvo, and David Luiz, and you will have a suspension a game. You will have a suspension a game.
I don't need Calvo in that defense. The drama would be the story of the 2021 season.
No, and not. I don't want to build that defense for the sake of having a good defense. I want to build that for the sake of drama, and so. Red card a game, that's that defense.
Speaking of train wreck of defense, Ronaldo, FC Neo Tokyo is suggesting that Ronaldo would be a train wreck, but at least it would be an entertaining crash. I think he'd be.
Nelson isn't here anymore. So
they're saying Nelson pretty much burned the Ronaldo bridge when he made fun of his dyslexia. Enough about the Kiwi. He's fun and all, but we got bigger fish to fry. I agree, Mick. But
he's starting.
Yeah, but Nelson's gone. So, I mean, Ronaldo, that definitely opens the door for Ronaldo returning. But also, Ronaldo's success is mediocre. It's not the greatest success, but still, he knows Chicago. He's a big name. I think I'd be willing to consider him, but I don't think Heights is, because I don't think he would want to work with Heights either. They brought Ronaldo in for the coaching search. Guys, they talked to him, or at least they talked with him for sure. I know this. He wasn't the only former Fire player that they talked with, and before they secured Rafa Wicki as their coach. And they definitely talked with him and considered him, but they went the other way. I don't know. Is Ronaldo the answer?
We need.
I'd prefer it, but I also don't know.
The thing that the Fire need.
I think that there's maybe better coaches out there, unfortunately to say. I mean, if we're being honest, there are potentially better coaches out there, but also maybe there isn't. Maybe he's a good fit for Chicago. Maybe he knows the league. Maybe he understands MLS. Maybe he understands MLS in a way that all these foreign coaches don't.
That's the thing. I think that the thing that the Fire needed at the beginning when Mansueto bought the team and finally fired Pauno and eventually Nelson, or at least moved Nelson away from the soccer side of things, which wasn't the place where he was doing the most damage, but okay. But the thing that the Fire needed was a GM who understood MLS well and had proven to build a good MLS team from the GM spot. And they also needed a coach who wasn't an academy coach, who had proven themselves to be able to win. They didn't have to win a championship or anything, but just a winner. So it's just, I think that they failed at both of those things. You know?
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. This team is run like a small town team. They hired the last two coaches that they've hired are U17 coaches, not established coaches of men. And that
the biggest designated player.
Yeah, they act like they're they're a small team.
Like the Fire, especially now that we have Mansueto, who has a lot of money, we can get the players that the Galaxy are getting.
We can get the coaches and the players, but they don't. But do you want to know why we can't? Because the Fire have so eroded it. They even brought Bastian, and they couldn't put enough shine on that shit. They brought in Bastian Schweinsteiger, a fucking legend, and they couldn't shine that turd up enough. It just did. They are in such a bad place that they need to fix something. They need to change a lot, and still not enough has changed, and still more needs to change. as we progress further throughout the season, maybe sooner than later too, especially if they're trying to save this season. Because right now, this season is going to leave a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths, especially coming on the heels of last season, especially coming on the heels of that they're supposed to go pay top dollar at Soldier Field to go sit and watch this pathetic piece of crap product and listen to Arlo White try and gussy it up. It's going to be right now. Chicago. Alexi Lalas tweeted this out the other day. He said, "What team does the MLS not need to succeed?" And I tongue-in-cheek said to Chicago Fire, because that has been the last 10 years. The league has succeeded despite the Chicago Fire.
I think that there's also, I mean, obviously my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory of the Fire. Like, the Fire were good when MLS itself was bad, so obviously MLS is trying to keep the Fire down since then.
Slow Day saying that I know that Nelson isn't here, but Eric has a bad taste for the club. I think he has a bad taste for some of the people in the club. I don't know.
I think that there's still some people here that Nelson brought in that he won't like. Mm-hmm. But I think in general, I think he might be okay with the team.
I think that Height's gone, and maybe somebody else there he knows he could trust. Somebody who could ride, somebody's his ride or die, that can work. But I don't also know if Winalda's the answer. Winalda is an idea, but there's other that's just one name of many, and there's definitely people out there, and we got to get something else in here though. If we're giving Joe ideas, call up Piotr Nowak, call up Eric Winalda, start getting some ideas. Call up who else can we bring out? Do you call Jesse? Do we call Jesse Marsh and ask him for a recommendation?
We've both spoken at length with Novak, that the 4-hour podcast. But I think that at this point, I would rather just have Novak and Klopas as our Bobby Hall, Stan Mikita types.
Yeah, I see. As the legends. Slow Day saying, how is this team ever going to fill Soldier Field? How was this team ever going to fill Soldier Field and get fans in the seats?
With the excitement, well, technically speaking, they missed that opportunity because of the virus. Because I think that it would have been possible for them before that team actually played a single game.
Gosh,
it was possible for them to have filled Soldier Field for that first game.
They should have brought Wayne Rooney in to be player coach and then let him retire and just become the coach. And there'd be enough confusion there for a year or two that people would still be coming to see Wayne Rooney, and even though he's coaching. They should have that could have been a great move. Just putting crazy ideas out there, but we can't live in the past. We got to live in the future. There's somebody out there for this team that I don't know what you guys think in the comments, but there's somebody out there.
I mean, it's the same way of me saying that I can find a girlfriend, It's just this whole thing of there's got to be someone out there, but I can't think of anything. To any specific player that can fix this team, any specific coach that can fix this team. There's got to be someone out there, but it's just not there. And it's as I said, same way that I say about getting a girlfriend. It's just not happening.
Dude, Jiggly, you got to think more positively of yourself. Get in a different kind of mindset, because you got to, on the one hand.
You see what I'm saying? With it's just I can't think of anything.
Here's what you got to do. You got to accept what it is, accept where you're at, accept what's going on right now, and also accept that change is going to happen. Change will happen. It's coming. It just, and start focusing on what you want to change, what you want to bring about, and boom, you'll start bringing that about. Right now,
I'm with the Fire.
But I'm saying for you, it's with the Fire. Yes, with the Fire. They got to start thinking about what they want. They got to start thinking about what they want to bring about, and if what they have is currently if what they're currently doing is going to bring that about. It doesn't look as if what they're currently doing is going to bring about the results that they're desiring. And that means you got to change what you're doing. It's as simple as that.
I find this interesting with, because I'm just looking at stuff on Football Reference for the Fire. And so, obviously we know that our leading goal scorer is Luka Stojanovic with 3 goals, and Beric has 1 goal. But Beric has 3 XG. Stojanovic actually only has 1.8 XG, so he's overperforming. And then Frankowski has 1.6 XG.
Jesus.
So It's talking about XG is
No,
about
stop.
how many chances
You're
they
wasting
get.
my
How many?
time talking about XG. I don't give two crap. It's a waste of a stat for me. It's a waste of. It's a fluff stat.
It's about how many. It's about how it's the
It's a
quality of
stat
chances.
to pad your article and say, hey, look, this team's supposed to be good. We had that great comment earlier. Agree with the first few games, says Slow Days, but by summer of 2020, it would be 6,000 fans at Soldier Field. It's going to be that soon. Carl Jenner John saying, I look towards successful coaches from Costa Rica or other CONCACAF Champions League teams who know how North American soccer works. A CONCACAF coach? What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, we saw Matias Almeida doing great. I would like that.
Yeah, that's
I
a
gotta
good
think
shout.
now if
From Carl Jenner John. Awesome to see you guys. By the way, everybody, thanks all of our viewers for watching and for listening to the Spitting Fire White Tee Show podcast. We're always on Spotify, iTunes, and everything else after the fact. If you're able to listen to it live on our YouTube, smash that like button. For us, it helps greatly helps the YouTube algorithms get a hold of the Chicago Fire content, pump it out to other Chicago Fire fans. Greatly appreciate you guys hitting the like button for us. And hopefully today was the day we earned your subscription. If we haven't, and hit that bell icon to get notified of our live streams. That way, I mean, you'll be able to come in and be the part of the show. We always talk with the chat. We always love hearing what the chat has to say. It's fun, really fun. That's what makes the show so fun, Jiggly. It's like you, me, and like the whole crowd. We're just like and we're all bouncing back. It's so fun.
I found Alajuelense's coach, Andres Sarovic.
Sedovic.
Yep.
There's a guy
he used
out
to play
there.
But I mean, that's just Alajuelense's current coach. I mean, I don't know if he's that good.
Yeah, right. Is he another Rafa Wiki? But here's the thing. Is he a U17 coach? No. We want a guy who's coaching men. And maybe also
He was
a
an
guy who speaks the
assistant
language.
coach in Puebla.
You also need a guy who speaks the language. The language barrier can be an issue. So you definitely need some way to mitigate that. A coach that's able to fit the situation. And I don't think Wiki fits the situation. Also, I'm not sure Heights fits the situation. But this is just me, a fan, and my current les looking at the slew of results the last 2 seasons. And seeing that it's just not been good enough. That's my assessment of the situation. Let us know your guys' assessment of the situation. Do you guys like what the Fire are going? Do you think that there's promise to look forward to? Or do you think that we need to burn it all down because there are enough pieces here already that somebody else could take a better shot with this? I think that's where we're at, personally. I think.
This is something Marty just tweeted. Fernando Adi, Kai Kamara, and Christian Nemeth are all free agents at the moment. The Fire could sign any of them, honestly, and have an improved striker base. Because the Fire don't have depth at striker. We have Barrage, Chinonso 4, and that's it.
Fernando Adi, Kai Kamara, and Christian Nemeth are all free agents at the moment. Josie Aldor needs a short-term option given that, yes, I agree with Josie option, especially you could come in and be a captain. MLS shows time and time again that its veterans outplay mid-level foreign talent. MLS shows time and time again that its veterans outplay mid-level foreign talent. Heights needs to show flexibility, and he isn't. Heights needs to go unless he can start showing some of that flexibility, especially if he brings in 1 or 2 signings. But that's what he's hinted at. 1 or 2 signings might come later in the year. But this team is what it is right now, and they have to make it work. And I'm not sure Wiki has that capacity. What needs to change for Chicago Fire fans? Let us know in the comments below. We got another question from Slow Days. Do we believe that the players are bad or that they are underperforming? I think that some players are bad, and I think that some players are underperforming, and I think that the coach doesn't know how to help them perform better, and also doesn't know how to hide the bad players.
Que no los dos.
Who's that?
Que no los dos.
Que no los dos?
Why not both?
Why not both? Why not both?
Because I think that they're not good enough, and they're also underperforming.
So
that's why the only person who's overperforming is Elliot Collier. All of them are better than Elliot Collier, but if Elliot Collier is your best player, then there's an issue there.
Then maybe it's a lot of underperforming players too. So I mean that's why we need to bring in a new coach. FC Neo Tokyo says, inject Kai Kamara into my veins. Slow Day is saying if they are underperforming, then it is because they are not running through a door for Wiki. I think they run through a door for Wiki. Wiki's just it's just not working. It's a U17 coach. There's a reason. This guy is a U17 coach. He doesn't have the tactics that work at the big league. If they are bad, then nothing a coach is going to do. Me and my brother were talking about this the other day. I don't know if there's any other sport where the manager and the coach is as important to the team than soccer. Name me a sport that the coach is more important than the team or the players. Basketball, I don't think so. NHL, I don't.
Football.
NHL, I don't think so. Football. I think has the argument, but I also think that because you got Bill Belichick, but also I think managers in soccer have the most.
I think the more
influence
important
on their
thing to
team
think about
over a head coach. I think a head coach has some influence of a football team, but I think a head coach of a soccer team has much more influence overall of his team's identity and his team, how his team's results.
I think a bigger thing to think about instead of head coach is what other sport in the world does the captain matter as much?
Okay, that's another question. That's another good question.
I think that's more apparent than
I don't know
about
any
coaches.
other sport. I don't know any other sport. Captain, you need a good hockey captain. You need a good hockey captain. I don't think you necessarily need a good football captain.
You get 3 of them though. You get 3 of them in hockey.
No, I mean you need a good hockey captain.
You get a captain and 2 alternates. You get 3 of them.
Okay. First off, we will recognize in every sport you need a good captain, and a good captain has its influences. We're just saying when sports comparatively, which captain of each sport has the most influence. You might be right about a skipper in soccer. You might have an argument for it. I think anyone can make an argument. Baseball saying at baseball, look what happened to the Sox with their old man yells at cloud experiment. Slow Day saying football has the most important coaches. They literally call the plays.
Yeah, like who do you, and like with just who do the Fire have as captain? You know,
Calvo and Neo.
Exactly.
Neo Tokyo is saying baseball is the coaching, but I look at Calvo. That's their captain. It's just they don't.
I think that you're onto something with like what the Fire aren't doing well at being a soccer team because of specific things with soccer.
They don't have a great captain. They don't have great leaders. They don't have great leaders on the roster. They don't have great leaders on this coaching staff. And I'm not sure that Garrick Heitz is a great leader, especially after reading that article and him trashing his coach that he brought in. That also he had to distance himself, even though maybe he didn't bring him in because he was part of the coaching search. But all the same, he's your guy, and I just makes me question him.
Honestly, Heitz. Yeah, he didn't exactly trash Vicky, but
he didn't exactly come out with a glowing endorsement of him either.
Heitz saying that Vicky needs to get good. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that puts me that gives me a bit more like hope that things can be done, that things can be fixed. Because, I mean, you don't want to have something like Nelson Rodriguez saying, "Oh no, he's the best. He's the best. We're soccer soulmates." I don't want that. If a coach is underperforming, if somebody is underperforming, I want to have the person in charge of that guy saying, yes, he's underperforming, and we're going to be looking into how to fix that. And if something doesn't get fixed, then he's going to have to be gone. So I don't think there's anything bad about Heitz saying Vicky isn't doing well. I think that he should also look at himself and putting other players in the position, but also like with what we were saying, because yes, I get what you're saying with like we need to I think that chat has you on that with other sports having much more important with coaches, with how managers in baseball are more important, with how coaches and head coaches in football.
I disagree.
I disagree. More important.
I honestly disagree. I think that a coach in soccer is the most important coach in any sport of all the sports.
And that's mostly because other sports don't. Other sports have sporting directors.
I also will ask you this: when we think about coaches in the world, the biggest coaching carousels of names of popular or fame, I think it's going to be coaches in soccer, and then followed up by maybe coaches. Followed up by coaches in college football. I think that would be the second most known famed coaches. The most is soccer, second most is college football, and then maybe third is maybe NFL.
I think that's
Maybe.
mostly you're saying around the world. I mean, obviously soccer's going to overtake everything,
Right.
but I think that the bigger thing is captain and leadership and the lack of that, because we do have some veterans on this team, but I don't think that they're good leader veterans. I don't think Calvo is a good leader.
Nope.
I've said that many times that I don't think Calvo's that good of a leader in terms of like what this team needs, and I don't think Bornstein is really the kind of guy with like the personality to help other players. I think that, for the longest time, the Fire had CJ Brown helping out the young players. Then, I don't rate him as a player, but Logan Paws was a good leader for the team. So it's very much a thing of the Fire have had in the past. The Fire have had good leadership, good strong leadership at the captain position, and they've had good goalkeepers. And then suddenly, the moment that Nelson Rodriguez came in, everything fell apart. So we had Schweinsteiger for a while, we had Dax McCarty, and then suddenly after that, what's there left? We got Calvo now.
Yeah, it's nothing left after the Basti years. The Basti years have been squandered. 2017 had a leader. Listen to this, though, from Slow Days. 2017 had a leader on every line. Zhao, Dax and Basti, and Juninho, and MDL, Michael DeLiouve. Yeah. And where are the leaders on the 2021 team? They're nowhere. So they say at the game, Madran was the only person yelling, and he only yelled at Brian Gutierrez.
And I will admit that Gutierrez had a kind of a bad game awareness-wise that game. But, I mean, I will allow it for him because he is a young player. With other players, if they're not performing, then I want them gone. But it's like that. I think that our next big designated player signing, if we can get, it was something that my dad had said about Gaston. I think that they were planning on Gaston on being that leadership player, and he's not that guy. It turns out he's not that leadership. We got him to be a designated player captain, but he's not that guy. And I think that the big thing that the Fire need to look at is bringing in a designated player who can also be captain. I'm just going to check something really quick about, let's see if this guy is still available at the moment. Because Maya Yoshida, I'm pretty sure is going to be available.
Maya Yoshida again.
Maya Yoshida, I'm pretty sure is going to be available for the summer window. So, and that's the thing. Like, I
don't think he's going to solve the Chicago Fire's problems.
I mean, no, he's not. He's a defender, obviously. But like, I think that's at this point, the Fire need to get a designated player signing who is a good leader and is going to be in a position of need. And honestly,
they can't.
Almost everywhere on this
until next season.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean for next season. I think that almost every single player, I think that almost every single position is a position of need for the Fire at the moment, except for, there's certain positions, like
striker.
Lucas Vjanovic, Alvaro Madran.
Get rid of them
I
all.
I trust them in those positions.
I like Stojanovic, but everybody else, whatever. Everybody else is just whatever, a guy. Maybe some of the homegrowns. I could give Gutierrez more time.
Sekulic at right back.
Whatever. He's been part of a bad defense for a long time now.
Sekulic, I think that Sekulic has been the best player of the entire season.
He's been the better player of the season. We talked about that as well. But he, all the same, he's been the better player on a bad team.
Yeah. I mean, that I think that a lot of that is on other people. And
I gotta say,
the ball has been moved over to the other side of the pitch.
It must be said.
Whenever the ball is between Sekulic and Frankowski, good things happen. When it's between Sekulic and Frankowski.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Sekulic is the one bright spot on this team at the moment for most of the season. He definitely is. I think we're starting to shut down here, Jiggly. Let's start reading our final comments. Thanks for everybody in the chat for joining us. Smash that like button. Greatly appreciate you smashing that like button. Helps other Chicago Fire fans find our Spinning Fire YT. We're on Spotify, iTunes, and all that good stuff. Always, we got Jiggly of the Sad Boys FC podcast. Great, another podcast to follow. They do a show a little bit more often than we do, but we do the live show. They do the closed show.
We do pre-recorded, and
edited,
we had the interview with Drew Connor.
Oh yeah, check that out.
Also, personally, I have my the Jock Weeb Network, which I have a Patreon now. I do need money.
Send it to Jiggly. He's on Patreon. Give him some support. We're on Patreon too, by the way. If you ever feel like supporting the show for the Spitting Fire YT, but yeah, you don't worry about it. I know money's tight right now, and everybody, you got to take care of your own. But if you ever feel like sending old Spitting Fire YT, old James a coffee, feel free. FC Neo T or beer. Do you even like any of these players? FC Neo Tokyo. I haven't actually been a fan of anybody on of these players since Sean Johnson left. Said an FC Neo Tokyo.
Elliot Collier.
Yeah, so Jiggly's a fan of Elliot Collier. He's Chicago boy. He's Chicago's Kiwi. Carl Jenner-John saying LCA looked damn good against Montreal. I want to see more of what I want to see that and what he can do against the rest of the season before we give up on him. So there's Carl checking in on him. I said earlier LCA not good enough, but chat fighting back against me on that, and they might be right. Slow Day saying Boris is good, Luka is good, Bobby has not been awful.
He hasn't had a chance to be awful though.
And Navarro has it, and Nacho could grow some more. Yeah, speaking of maybe quiet bright, Navarro, he kind of gives me the old Brandon Vincent feeling, like he
kind of cut me off before I said something.
Damn,
about Navarro.
Oh man, yeah, Navarro, he's giving you the Brandon Vincent feeling. Like he's coming along. He's not quite reliable, but he's also not quite, bad. And he's got there's something there maybe.
Because I was saying, when the ball's between Sekulic and Frankowski, good things happen. But when it's on the other side, it's between like Navarro and Collier. It's between Bornstein and an out-of-position 04. So, like, good things happen on the right side of the pitch. And so that's why teams have learned to keep the ball away from that side of the pitch.
Yeah. Yep.
For the Fire.
Yep. They've learned a lot about the Chicago Fire and Wiki's offense, and that's kind of been an issue for Wiki that he has not been able to resolve so far. And question is growing, and the hot seat is getting hotter for him, obviously, because Heights is letting him know. Heights let him know, and also let the media know, hey, we just met with this guy after the last game because he's not performing the way we want to, and we're telling you that, and we're telling him that. So that's a big indicator that changes might be coming if we don't see any significant change in results here for Chicago Fire anytime soon. And some of the changes to us seem obvious. Chinoso 04, start him. Start getting him going. Maybe play Pineda over Gaston Jimenez way more. But also, by the way, shout out to Section 8 Chicago Fire for Food 2021. Please support and give now. $1 buys 3 meals. It does a whole lot to help combat food scarcity and food problems and food insecurity in Chicago. This helps out kids so much, guys. We greatly appreciate any type of money you could give. Give them money before you give us money. It's a great cause, and we love to support the Chicago Fire Section 8 Greater Chicago Food Depository campaign. Jiggly, any final thoughts here for everybody?
Usually I say go Red Stars, but I mean the Red Stars aren't playing well either.
Wait, what's going on with the Red Stars? Can I get a quick update? Because to me, they have some talent and they're struggling.
They have a team that is built around hero ball. They don't have anybody to pass to though. They can pass to each other all the time. They have playmakers. They don't have a scorer.
Is the coach the issue, or is the team setup an issue, and they just need one? They need one cog to make this work, and he doesn't have that cog on the roster at the moment. Is that the issue?
Technically both, because I don't rate Rory Dames as a coach. He's a great GM. He's been able to build this team, but at some point you just got to let him go. And also, technically speaking, yeah, if they can get just that one player who can score, I mean, Sam Kerr was that. Kirsten Press was that for a long time. I mean, you notice that if they didn't have that one specific player type, they didn't play well. You had Sofia Huerta taking over that role when Press was away, and she wasn't able to do it that well. And then you got the players weren't able to do that when Kerr was away, and now there's just nobody's coming back. And I know that there's a bit of a thing for they have somebody coming in from Europe, but we don't know who it is. There's some guesses as to who they will be, but I don't know. I don't I don't know who's going to be. My guess is like, there's one player who's like kind of a bench player and with Wolfsburg right now because she's been injured so much. Eva Pajor, or Eva Pajor or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce that very well, but that was one that I noticed from Alex Campbell, one of Alex Campbell's articles. I did my own research. They said something about like, oh, they needed to wait for cup finals to be played. So it could have been Sam Kerr. It was said before.
That'd be great. But do you think that she's what's missing, or do you think it's a Yuki that's missing? Yuki
I miss
Nagasato.
Yuki.
I know you personally.
Mostly because of
I know
just
you personally.
in general.
But I'm talking about
Yuki's my favorite player, but I don't think that's it.
But we're talking one cog here.
One cog is the goal scorer.
So maybe that's
I think that Yuki, in terms of what she did on the pitch itself, was replaced by Malpew. Not like for like. I mean, Yuki had a lot of technical ability in terms of just like being able to pick out those passes. I think that Malpew adds more in terms of dribbling that I don't think Yuki did.
I mean, the Red Stars have some good U.S. internationals.
The Red Stars have some very
Julie
good
Ertz, Malpew
facilitators. Chicago has some very good facilitators. They don't have the goal scorer though.
That's interesting.
Malpew isn't gonna score as many goals as like even. Malpew isn't going to score as many goals as Sofia Huerta,
Well, what's interesting about the Red Stars is that you seem to think that, maybe one cog is missing, but also they might not have the coach to make it all work anyway, because he has not put it all together for a few years. And they seem like they've had the talent, and it might be time for a change.
They've had the talent for a really long time.
They've had the talent to win for a long time. It might be time for a change there. Now, to look at the Fire in the similar way, I'm not sure the Fire are one cog away. I think they're multiple cogs away. They're also, the coach is not there. The coach is clearly not the right coach for what's out there. So I think they need new cogs on the roster and the team. And that's also what comes down on Heights not getting the right cogs.
It comes down to what you see when you watch the game and you see the little things. And the Red Stars are doing a lot of the little things right.
Well, that's huge.
And then
that does come down to coaching.
You see a lot of little things go wrong.
Little things does come down to good coaching. So, that might be a shout in the Red Stars coach favor. But all the same, what to me damns that coach is just his lack of results over the last 2 to 3 years. He's been there a couple of years now with loaded talent.
Rory Dames?
Yeah.
He's been there for almost a decade.
Yeah, he's been there loaded with talent, and he should have won. They should have won big. Like it's to me, it's actually
the rest of the NWSL is catching up. That's the thing, and that's what I say that about. The national team as well, where the rest of the world is catching up to the U.S. national team. So it's very much a thing of just everybody else is getting better. This league, there is no easy game in the NWSL anymore.
Right.
There was an easy, Sky Blue FC was an easy team to beat for a long time. Houston Dash was an easy team to beat. Orlando Pride was an easy team to beat as long as they didn't have Marta on the pitch. So they don't have that anymore. No team is an easy. There's no easy game in the NWSL. Even Kansas City, who the Red Stars did get a win against, there's no easy game anymore.
I don't know if there's any easy game in MLS either. So they're saying I'm all for benching.
There's easy games in MLS.
I mean that what is it? Didn't we play Miami? I'm all for benching Gaston for Pineda. Better defensive and ball retention, almost as good with distance passes. Yeah, he's just more physically able to contend with MLS than Gaston Jimenez is. I think that's gonna just about do it for us, Jiggly. Any final thoughts here, or do you got to toss out?
I have a video. I'm VTubing. Watch my videos about anime and sports. My most recent video was about hockey.
So that's why you're on the hockey kick. But hockey's awesome. I love it. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Spitting Fire YT. Check out Jiggly. Support Jiggly. Always appreciate you hopping on the show, Jigs.
I was going to take a shower before this, and it's been about 2 hours.
Snap! Wow! I'm gonna have to cut this show up. Well, Snap! Thanks for everybody. I can't believe our show is incredible. The people who listen and watch. I mean, we've had people listening to us talk the entire time. Chicago Fire. That's how passionate. There's some great passionate fans in this base. They just need something to root for. Even Fred Hubner was telling me the other day he was struggling. He's like, it's hard for me to even talk about this team. It's just they need to do something. So let's hopefully we got a change in store for Chicago Fire, and change is good. we got it, everybody. So everybody, smash that like button. Let us know how you feel. Feel free to comment after the fact. We'd love to hear from you. Support us on Twitter. Hashtag whatever. I think I'm /FireEngine97 or something like that. Support Jiggly. Jiggly_333. And greatly appreciate you guys taking the time on this Thursday morning. And we'll see. I mean, there's no Fire games for 2 weeks, so hopefully this content could take you there. All right, Jiggly. We'll catch you later.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a great one. We will see you later. Hold on, Jigs. I'm gonna pop off here. I'll be back in a second. Thank you, everybody. We will see you guys later on Spitting Fire YT. Greatly appreciate it if you guys take the moment to subscribe. Hit that like button. It greatly helps fan the flames and lets everybody know Chicago Fire are something to pay attention to on YouTube and the Chicago media sportsverse. Slow Day saying thanks, guys, for some midweek entertainment. Thank you, guys, for joining us. FC Neo Tokyo just tweeted you MLS manager hot seat odds. All right, we're in for that. Thank you, FC Neo Tokyo. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Greatly appreciate your guys' support on Spitting Fire YT. We will catch you guys next time. Fired up, footballers. Later.